Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is a mess of a movie. What's poppin', everyone? I just got back from seeing Quantumania and it was basically everything I expected it to be. Essentially everything I said in my Phase 5 analysis video can sum it up for this film. Quantumania isn't a movie, it's foundation. Just like I said in my previous video, all of Phase 4 and 5 are going to most likely be this way to build up towards Phase 6 and beyond with the later Avengers movies. That said, it's not a bad movie. It's an enjoyable ride that is pretty fun, although I wouldn't say it feels like an Ant-Man film by any means. Could just be me talking, but for an Ant-Man film, they're typically much smaller in scale, and this one, had a lot going on. I for one somewhat enjoyed the chaos, but even I'll admit it could be a lot. The characters are as fun as they have been, and the dynamic between Cassie and Scott is actually pretty neat. I like how Cassie was essentially ending up like her dad and fighting for what's right. She even calls him out on this, saying how he hasn't done much after the blip and how she misses the more rebellious Scott, which was pretty neat. And the rest of the heroes are just fine. Surprisingly, Hope wasn't given anything to do really and was more sitting on the bench for the moment she was needed, which was really lame. That's one of the complaints I have with this movie. There really isn't a whole lot of character stuff on it, and you kind of finish the movie feeling like a lot of stuff is unresolved. Beyond the teases of something good, there really isn't any payoff. Like I said, this is just a piece in a grander story. And in a way, it does kind of ruin the movie for me a bit. But how about Kang? Surely he was epic. And yes, he was. He was purely menacing and super cool. We get to see the full force of his power and it's awesome. Thankfully, the quipping was put down during serious scenes. Oh, thank God. Seriously, Marvel needs to learn to shut the hell up during these serious scenes. And MODOK was alright. Mainly there to be made fun of. Take that as you will, I suppose. Okay, who am I kidding? The more it stays in my head, the more ugly it gets. Why did he look like that? I'm serious. I understand making a giant floating head isn't any easy task, but come on. Could it have not looked better than this? Parts of this film feel kind of disjointed though. Like I said, there's a lot of chaos in it which can make it feel like a lot. The scope of this film is just also so much larger, and I was kinda for it. I really like the more grounded story of the first one, however, and this is where a big issue arises. This movie was not an Ant-Man movie. It's like a Kang hype story. Marvel movies now follow 3 guidelines. 1. Fit the grand scope of the pre-existing MCU. 2. Move forward the overarching MCU plot. And 3. Move forward from its predecessors. And yeah, this film checks all those. A huge hindrance is how MCU films can't stand alone without having to connect to something larger or other films, either that came before or setting up the new ones to come. And it's only becoming more of an issue as how reliant MCU films have become on including other MCU characters in those standalone films. I say this in general, however, it's not too much of a problem in this one, but the core idea still stands, as Ant-Man isn't really the main star of his own movie. Kang is. They need to set him up. Granted, even in the older phases it was like this, but the idea of a big villain and superhero team-ups were much more slim and few between. Whereas now it's just your typical Tuesday. To me, this really holds this film back from being anything more than just okay. Like I said, I still would argue it's not a bad film, but it's just another MCU film that's only here as foundation. It sucks because there is potential for this film with its characters, but what it wants to do continues to be impeded by the fact Kang needs to be a thing. All in all, I give this film a 6 out of 10. A fun journey with a cool villain, but just too messy to achieve being an Ant-Man film. Hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, feel free to subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. And I'll catch you all later.